Sneha and I'm part of Girl Scout Troop 33123 of Girl Scouts in Northern California. I'm working on my Silver Award project, and today I'll be showing you how to make a hand-sewn mask without using a sewing machine. Let's get into it. So first I have a template from John Muir that has both an inner layer and outer layer. The outer layer is slightly bigger than the inner layer, and that outer layer will be for the cloth on the outside of your mask. That will be facing outwards, I guess. And the inner layer is for the cloth that will be on the inside of the mask and touching your face. First, we'll be starting with the outer layer. Start by folding your cloth with the right side inwards of the cloth of your choice. Next, put the outer layer close to the edge and cut this out. You will need 2 of these. Next, use a pencil to trace the outer layer and then cut. Next, cut this out and you should get something that looks like this. Since we folded it, you should get 2 separate layers like this. Next, do the same thing with the inner layer. Line it up close to the edge, trace it, and cut it. You can use any flat surface like a table, or for me, I have this mat here. Since I cut it close to the edge, now we need to cut this fold off. Okay, now we have the 2 inner layers. So I have my 2 layers here, and if there are frayed edges like this, you can feel free to just trim them off. Now with the inner layer, we're going to either tack really close together or backstitch it like I am. You want to start out with threading the needle through, then taking out the string to make it shorter than the initial string and tying the knot on the longer side, as usual. So I started one backstitch, but basically what you want to do is put your needle through the previous hole and next sew it, take it over to the next part you want to stitch, then pull it and continue this process until you go all the way along curve A. So this is how it should look like when it's finished, and I didn't have enough thread to take out this backstitch, so I ended up tying a knot over here. Next we want to fold this in about 1/2 inch maybe. And for me, I'm going to take a scissor. You can also iron it or use a ruler, but I am just like pressing on this so that it has a nice imprint on it that will stay. After that, we're going to do the same thing. You can either backstitch or tack. This time I'm going to be doing a tack instead of a backstitch. We just want to sew along this line, and I am going to try to sew closer to the fold rather than the edge so that we can avoid the fraying part. Now I'm going to start by doing a tack stitch. So now I'm going to be tying a knot. Well, actually 2 knots would be better. So I'm just going to go inside the cloth and then out just a little bit, like very tiny. Then I'm going to pull it out. Oops. I'm going to pull it out, but not all the way out. You see, we'll have this long string here, and this is the loop you want to have. Next, put your needle through this loop, take it out, and tighten the knot. As you can see here, there's a knot. Then you want to pull it as tight as you can. I'm going to repeat this one more time just so that it stays extra secure. Again, go in, then out. Bring the needle all the way out. The string, I like to just pull it a little bit more so that the loop is smaller. Then again, bring it through the loop, take the needle out and fasten. Okay. Make sure your shorter string comes out of the knot. Sure. Okay. Next, you can just cut this off like that. And make sure that the knot is really fastened. If you want, you can also tighten it again after you cut it. Then you should have this. Next, we're going to repeat this on the other side. First, take your scissor or ruler, whatever you want, and make sure that it's at the same part as the other one. Flatten. And then you want to stitch again. We'll tie the knot again. Now we're going to put the inner cloth aside and use the outer layer. We're going to do the same thing with a 1/4 seam allowance and sew curve A with either backstitch or tack. I'm going to be doing backstitch again. Okay, so now we want to do the same thing as we did with the inner layer, except fold it to be 3/4 of an inch rather than 1/2. So mark the 3/4 inch mark and fold it along that line. Next, we want to do the same thing with the scissor and just flatten it out, or you can iron it if you want, but I find this easier. Next, we're gonna tack, or if you want to do backstitch, that's fine too, whichever one you want. Both of them work fine though. This time I'm gonna actually make sure you make it closer to the edge now rather than the fold, because for the outer layer, we are going to attach a string through this. So we're making sort of a pocket now. Now do the same thing on the other side. From here, you want to open the mask like this. Next, flip it over. As you can see here, I put a 45-inch strip of bias tape through this mask. You want to do this on both sides. So, how to do this? You take a safety pin. Next, attach it through the bias tape vertically. Close the safety pin. And basically the safety pin just creates something to hold on and push with. Okay? Now fit it inside this loop we created and gently push the safety pin through. Now you want to pull the mask about halfway through. Now you want to take the safety pin out and set it aside. So now after putting both strips of bias tape, you want to gently open it like this, but not push the outside edge. Keep it like this, and with our inner layer, make sure that you press gently like this and gently poke it out. This is so that both of the right sides will be facing each other. Basically, you want to just push it in to align with the outer layer, as this will be the inside of our mask that will face towards your face. So now that we aligned it, we want to stitch both this side and this curve. We also want to include the bias tape to stitch over it, and we want to stitch over the middle. We also want to do this on the top. When you're stitching, make sure that it's aligned like this, and stitch it just so that you don't get any part of the inner layer sticking out. Now the top and the bottom of the mask is stitched. Next, we'll be flipping the mask inside out. Okay, and now your mask is completed. This is how it looks on the inside. You just put this to your face, and this is where your nose is. And you can also use the sides to put an additional filter pocket. So this is how the completed mask should look like. The top pointy part is for your nose, and these strings are used to tie around the back of your head. Thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial helped you.